अस्सलाम वालेकुम व्यूअर्स, नई वीडियो लेकर आ रहे हैं जिसमें हम बात करेंगे स्टडी वीज़ा के बारे में, स्टडी परमिट के बारे में कनाडा में। तो इस सिलसिले के लिए मज़ीद ऑथेंटिक इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर करने के लिए टुडे वी हैव रिक्वेस्टेड Zaheer Babar again to join our channel. So Zaheer Babar, thanks for coming and joining us on this channel again.
Thank you, Hassan. It's a pleasure to join you again.
Lovely. Since we are making this video about the study permit, I would like to ask you, Zaheer, that what opportunities our viewers can have, or the students who have applied for a study visa in Canada. So after completing their degree or their studies there, what opportunities they have for future if they would like to stay there and carry on with their life?
Thank you, Hassan. I hear this question a lot. So what's in it for us to study in Canada? So study in Canada, or basically education in Canada, has a lot of perks.
Right.
So students, when they are choosing their program, they from that stage itself, they consider programs which have postgraduate work permit eligibility. So then they can have a smooth transition into their permanent residency. Now, the point is, yes, there is possibility for many students to have permanent residence journey from their completion of education. I mean to say, once they have completed their education, they will have postgraduate work permit. I think some students have an opportunity to finish their studies and get into permanent residency process. But a lot of students would have opportunity to finish their studies and then start work, finish having a certain number of hours based on the criteria of eligibility of express entry or Canadian experience class, and then get into permanent residency process. So there are options for students. In the last video also I talked about it. This is very profitable for Canada.
Sure.
To have students. Basically, you're bringing money from overseas, investing in yourself, but also investing in Canadian infrastructure.
Sure, it's a win-win situation on both sides, from Canadian side and from.
It's interconnected. I would say that, of course, those institutions, a lot of those institutions which are having international students depend on international students because they are bringing a lot of money. It's as you said, it's a win-win situation for the both parties, and yes, there are a lot of benefits. There's a lot of
opportunities there for the students. Okay, so what is the difference between SDS and non-SDS? A lot of viewers they ask about it, or they have confusion about it. So what's the main difference, and which one is the better path for students to apply for? Can you please explain about that?
I get this question a lot, and the reason behind is, it's in Pakistan it's new. It just launched last year, and a lot of students have no idea why. I mean, if they can actually go for SDS or a regular study permit, and which is usually called non-SDS. And whether it's their choice to go or whether it happens itself, what really goes about it. The thing is, the SDS was already existing in the world.
Right.
It's a student direct stream, basically. So there are certain countries which were actually, who are taking advantage of this particular program. And it was for China, India, Morocco. I mean, actually, if you say now how many, because some countries are added now, like Pakistan, Morocco, Senegal is added now.
I believe about 7 countries are included in this scheme, isn't it?
Now we have China, India, Morocco, Pakistan, Philippines, Senegal, and Vietnam. So it's not new in the world, but it's new in Pakistan. So a lot of students are confused whether they should go this way or that way.
Sure.
The reason, what was the major difference when SPS was launched is Pakistani students were waiting for a lot of time to get the answer about their applications. Sometimes it was like 3 months, 4 months, and also, if even interview comes in between, and so it takes even longer. The launch of this program was to actually expedite the study permit processing time. So, and it does not go on one side that officers just process faster, but it was also that they have the right documents and they have German students were able to provide those documents so that visa officer would have all those documents which he actually was looking for to approve study permit. So then after they introduced the SDS in Pakistan, so it became very similar to other countries, and it has certain documents which if you provide, and your process will be expedited. So the major difference between SDS and non-SDS is that in SDS you have a certain checklist of documents that you will provide,
sure,
and which is longer list than non-SDS.
Sure. I believe it has something to do with the IELTS band or English language test as well. Is that true?
Yes, actually it has a list of documents, I would say. So for that, if you have IELTS, and in IELTS each band you need to have a 666. You need to have guaranteed investment certificate GIC, which minimum 10,000 for a single person, and for other dependents would be more. If you're adding into the application, you need to have 1 year tuition fee. You need to have upfront medicals, and you can also other things might be very standard, like educational documents. You may still attach that, but the top of the thing is letter of acceptance for both applications, which is designated learning institute has to issue you a letter of acceptance. So if you have these documents, so then you would qualify for SDS.
I'm sure there's a lot of DLIs institute in Canada now. I believe there's about 1,400 institute there. Is that right? Or is it hard to find which institute we should apply for and would have the authentic acceptance letter or offer letter for students?
Yeah, well, I think every organization, educational institute, I know they have DLI designated. Yeah. But the point is, every DLI does not have postgraduate work permit eligibility. So you have to go into detail and see that whether this private institution where you're going, if it's having postgraduate work permit eligibility or not.
Yes.
So that is what actually interests a lot of international students.
Sure. Zaheer, would you tell us about the work process or the number of hours students can work in Canada? And for that kind of work, would they be able to cover their expenses, living expenses there?
Yes. As long as, on your study permit it's written and you're authorized, you would be having 20 hours a week.
Part-time, okay.
Maximum work. Part-time works actually in Canada is minimum 15 hours.
Okay.
So 20 hours actually you can work while you're studying. And some language programs might not have that eligibility, so you might not be eligible to work while you're having language, but it depends on province to province and programs to programs. So you should check your study permit whether you're allowed or not. What happens is in that summer break, students are eligible to work 40 hours.
Right, full-time, okay.
Which is full-time job. You need to actually prove when you are applying for your study permit that you'll be able to, sustain and complete your education, living expenses, transportation expenses without those 20 or 40 hours work opportunity. Maybe you can meet some of your expenses. I don't think so you can pay your tuition fees unless it's very, very reduced or cheap.
Right, okay. For higher degrees, probably for masters, you won't be able to cope with the finance. You would have to get sponsored somehow.
I would say yes. It depends on the institution. Like some institutions have 30,000 to 50,000 a year fees. I don't think so you can cover this one with 20 hours or 40 hours work.
Yeah. Can I ask you this question? You can skip if you like. Like in Ireland, students are the same, allowed to work 20 hours per week, but somehow students are able to work full-time during their academic year as well. And does anything happen like that in Canada? And if so, what effects does it have on your visa renewal when they go back to immigration?
This will be a violation of their study permit conditions. If it's stated in there that they have 20 hours per week, which is a rule of thumb, actually most of them are allowed 20 hours per week during their study. So in that case, if they violate, it might be a problem when they're actually going for their postgraduate work permit. Because they have violated conditions of study. One of the conditions in postgraduate work permit is that you have completed your studies and now have violated your conditions. So I would recommend or actually encourage students to actually follow those, so they do not have these kind of issues.
Sure. Zaheer, can you ask, if a student is old enough that he's married and he has a family, can he still apply for a student visa? And if he can apply, then what's the difference between a single person and moving with a family on a student visa? What difference it has or regards to funds he has to show or documents he has to provide?
I would say that there is a lot of stuff that is involved in this question.
So it's more complicated, would you say, for marriage?
I would say it depends a lot on your own circumstances, and that actually it comes down to funds. Of course, when you're going with family, that will be more than regular GIC. So students with having $10,000 GIC, now they are actually looking at 14,000 or 17,000 with a kid. The point is that they need to establish that they are they can actually just have enough living expenses for themselves and family. It goes to the personal choice eventually, and how much risk you are taking. Risk is just in terms of if you apply, if officer is not satisfied, he may refuse, and you have spent a lot of time and energy, right?
Zaheer, would you tell us about those students who have migrated to Canada and during their course or academic year they change their mind and they would like to change their course? Can they do it, or is it too late for them then?
Hassan, yes, it's possible. There is a process for that, and I certainly help those students to decide and also give them advice on this particular thing. Because the thing is, if they're moving within the same university or college, maybe they can actually consult with their admission advisor or maybe student advisor, and they will guide them. It will be quite easy. But if they are switching from one education institution to another, and then or maybe they are going to a different province or etc., I think it's better to consult, and I would be able to advise in that manner.
Sure.
It will be quite important to be having right advice. So I don't want to give you general advice, but yes, it's possible.
Okay, cool. Okay, Zaheer, I have heard a lot of refusals about the SDS application processes, that they were refused even though the students have applied all the required documents for that. Is there any explanation for it?
Well, I think it's a bit tricky question, and these are some of questions you don't want to give a very generalized answer, because every student has its own his or her own circumstances.
Yes.
And what they have submitted, I have no idea, right? What they have explained, I have no idea.
Yes.
But I would say that just submitting all those documents which is requested by SDS, let's say 5 or 7 documents we just said,
Yes.
And not be able to explain that why they have selected that program, what was their motivation, how they'll be able to sustain themselves in Canada, and how they will be returning. There's so many questions that might not be addressed properly. So SDS or non-SDS at this point does not make difference.
Right. Okay.
I mean, the officer will still check that whether the student will return to their country and whether it's reasonable for them to study. So that if someone is thinking that so SDS will bypass all the process, so it's not. So there is a possibility of getting refusals in such cases.
Okay.
Even though you have submitted all the documents to the SDS.
Zaheer, could you tell us on this situation which some students have to come across, that they receive approval in principle, but later on, later stage, they get refusal. Why is that?
Yeah. So I think this is a new thing due to COVID. Earlier we used to hear only one thing: either the visa is approved or not approved, or there may be some additional information to provide, or maybe sometime we receive an interview for friends. So now Canada has actually put the study permit process into two stages. One is that stage one, which is approval in principle, which actually takes care of eligibility part, and then the second is final approval, which is basically where you actually have admissibility check, and some like medical criminality, with the background checks,
Yes.
So I know some of students are thinking that if they get principal in principle, it means that they got the they will get the final approval anyway. I mean, maybe it might not sound so positive for them,
Yes.
but yes, you can be. There is a lot more chances that they will get to the next step, but they need to bear in mind that there is no guarantee if they have approval in principle that they will have final approval as well.
Yeah, Zaheer, could you guide the viewers in a short what processes they take, just in case if anybody who's watching this video and they're not sure what steps they have to take or where they should start it off from?
I would say I have been contacted a lot of times at the stage of applying study permit, and that's what actually regulatory immigration consultant do. We have students with the already admission. We have everything ready from the students, or maybe we guide them what actually they need to get put it together, or like what document they need to have, and then an information, and we help them with all those preparation, and then eventually we submit their application and we present them. This is what actually a consultant would do in a very brief, but actually there's a lot of more information, and there's a lot of interaction, there's a lot of communication between correspondence. So what we help is basically more than that, just not applying study permit. We can also help students with selecting programs, making the right choice.
Zaheer, would you tell us what are the reasons, apart from the funds issues or criminality issues with some of the candidates?
The major reasons actually found is the purpose of visit, which is other words is basically selection of program and how you explain it. So I would say criminality is a very obvious thing. Medical maybe very visible thing, like a very obvious thing if you get refused because you failed your medical or you failed your criminality check or backgrounds. Someone has a very limited funds. It's very obvious that they have limited funds. But I think the hard thing to explain is that why you have selected that particular program, and unless you have very reasonable explanation for that, that becomes more the major reason of refusal of students' cases, study purpose. So I would recommend that students to do due diligence before selecting programs. And if they cannot, they do their own and they're confused, they can consult with me. I do provide student consultation as well, like education consultancy as well, and help them with this, why this program is that. Okay, my human resources background help as well, because I have also, gone through, how employees actually go from one level to another, and what training you would require actually to become from this to that. So those all skill set actually help me in education when I came in this industry. So I see that for career planning and students, goals, what these goals are, and how we can set a goals for students to achieve those. Other than just immigration. There's so many students actually, and it's very interesting. Like that maybe a lot of students might be thinking that or maybe a lot of people might be thinking that students are just interested for immigration. No, students are looking for a complete package. They are looking for their higher education or maybe better education. They're looking for the better environment. They're improving their language skills. They're actually coming in a different system to learn a different system, and of course upgrade their knowledge and skills, getting Canadian experience. And immigration.
All right, thank you very much, Zaheer, for your valuable time, and we really will benefit from your advice and your suggestions and your insight thoughts about the whole process to apply as a student permit.
Thank you, Hassan, for giving this opportunity again. As I mentioned, students can contact me, and we can start a journey from the start itself, from the point one. or we can start from the study permit application as they desire. And I'm happy to assist those of your or anyone actually contacts me.
Okay, thank you, Zaheer. Yeah, I will definitely put in the description box about your contact details so that the viewers, if they would like, they can access you through there.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Zaheer. Goodbye.
Bye.